A happy Friday to all of you, and welcome to episode 58. We do have Ifbb Pro, Jason Martinez out of the RGV. Hey, I appreciate you being here, Jason. Welcome, my friend.
I'm glad you having me on your podcast too, man. Glad to be here.
Well, we're going to have a little fun. We're with Team Jacked. You've been not only a professional athlete, you've also been a coach, you've been a trainer, you are a parent, you're a husband, you're a father, you're everything in between. We're going to dig into that here in a little bit. But for those of you who have been following, this has been a conversation that has been anticipated for a while. And, when I think about quality individuals, Jason and I have known each other for a few years now. We've gotten the chance to just to talk in passing, as well as at shows. And, he has a really great eye, and he has a great group of athletes. So I'm just kind of curious, Jason, how did you officially get your start in bodybuilding? I was kind of curious because we never dug into your past. How did you start in bodybuilding, and how did that go all the way to your pro card?
Man, I was old school, man. I got into it about 94 after I graduated high school. I was kind of one of the skinny kid, the whole, being small and skinny and going to the gym, to do something to kind of build my body up a bit. And I started training, and within the first year or two, I got very ripped. I just couldn't put that size on. Started researching. Back then, it was just magazines, So researching magazines, started learning about nutrition, eating a little better, started seeing better results when I changed my nutrition part of it. And one time at a local gym, must have been about 98, 99. There was always a local show here in the Valley. It was called the Cornerstone Classic. And it was a big show, very, very local big show. And I remember telling my girlfriend, at the time, that's like, what, I think I want to do that. She's, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to find out about it and just do it. I'm going to try it. And I had no clue what to doing. I just remember, cut your carbs, cut this, cut that, add cardio. I got real ripped. That's my good thing is I can get lean, but putting on the sides is tough. So I did that show in 99 and just being on stage and just, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with just being on stage and I wanted to be better and improve. And then I just kept trying and improving. And back then, like I said, there was no internet, there was no coaches. It was just all camaraderie at our gym, helping each other out. We were reading magazines. Okay, let's try this workout. Hey, let's try this nutrition plan. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of trial and error. And I remember where the gym we used to work out, that's where all the bodybuilders in the Valley were and trainers. And I remember they did a show. It was called the Cornerstone Classic. This was back in 2000. And it got huge. And that's when then the following year, I don't know if you know Bernadette, from NPC. I remember her, Tony, all the groups, they made it to try to get the sanction, and we got it sanctioned. And it became an NPC show in about 2001. And I remember I won the lightweight class. And back then, it was not the same. It was like you could only do novice. I don't even remember. You could only do novice. Until you won your novice, you were okay to go to open. Then you did your open, you go to either, back then they only had a regional show. They only had, 3 or 4, maybe NQs, national shows, and qualifiers. And then I remember I would take my steps slowly, And then I finally kind of get into the big stages and, got qualified. And it's just, I prepped myself for most of the shows. I mean, we had, like I said, friends that would help each other out, but there was no coaches back then. There was no, gurus, And I remember I kept doing shows and qualifying and just keep improving. And then about 2007, I decided, let's see if we can do what we're doing in the national stage, And back then, remember, it was just bodybuilding. I think they had fitness and bodybuilding women. That's it. The bikini wasn't even around either. And we did the junior nationals and I got 12. And then I did the USAs in 2007 and I got 10th. And back then, I don't even remember, it was like 25, 30 competitors per class. I mean, it was big, I remember competing against Jose Raymond and, these big names, Stan McQuay and all these guys that were middleweights back then. Yeah. My gym, when I opened my gym in 2004, and I was trying to bodybuild, it started getting very busy. So in 2007, I had to put the bodybuilding to the side, and just focus on my gym. And it grew. I mean, my gym started growing. 2010, we expanded to a bigger facility. I kind of just put bodybuilding in the back burner, and I started training a local boxer. You know, we had a boxing gym at the gym, so I started training a local boxer. And I'm the type of guy that if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it full blown. You know, so I remember I researched, well, how can I improve his conditioning? Well, let me also improve my condition. Let's see what it does to me. So I went from bodybuilder frame to a boxer frame. I was running 3 miles a day, doing my pad work, doing my conditioning training, and training him also. So I was very conditioned and lean. And about 2013, I had a couple of trainers that were into the bodybuilding, scene, and they wanted me to help them out. So I started training with them, helping them out, and man, I fell in love with the pump again. I was like, it's 7 years without actual lifting like a bodybuilder. So I started feeling it. My body started responding back again. That's when men's physique started. So I said, you know what? I'm not big as a bodybuilder. It's beach body back then. So I said, let me give it a try. So I did that, and I prepped myself. So I did that 2013, and I remember Bernadette, same judges from NPC. They were like, "Man, you're back," But Jace, you are not men's physique. You belong bodybuilding. You belong bodybuilding. I still had a pretty bad size frame, And I was like, man, but I lost all my legs. I lost my size. He said, well, build it up. So 2014, I started training hard, and I prepped myself again for those 2 shows. I did 2 shows that year. I did the Battle by the Bay, Bernadette's show. At the time, it was a regional qualifier, so they only had 3 classes. So threw me in the heavyweights. I got 3rd place, and then I did the Phil Heath, and I got, I think it was 8th place, So 2015 comes around. I tell my wife at the time, I tell her, look, if I'm gonna do this right, I'm gonna give it one more shot. I'm gonna give it 2 years before I hit 40 to see if I can do some damage again. Because I never really had the training as that. I did it all myself. I said, let me hire a real coach and let me dedicate 2 years, of it. So 2014, I met my coach in the Olympia factory. And I started following him on Instagram, and I noticed his athletes were always conditioned. That was his forte. I said, man, these guys are awesome, man. I want to do something like that. I think he can help me out. Met him 2014 in the Vegas Olympia. Talked. 2015 January, got him on board. I hired him. Prep from January all the way to May. We did the El Paso Super Supplement Show, I believe it was. I was a light heavyweight. I forgot my first. I qualified. We stayed on prep all the way to nationals that year. Again, this is 7 years, not bodybuilding, coming back, getting into the bodybuilding scene. I did 1 show, qualified. We prepped all the way till May. Till September. We did the nationals in Miami, and I got 3rd in the middleweight. And that just gave me a drive. Like, I belong here. I can do some damage, Back on prep again for 2016. We did the North Americans as a warm-up before we hit nationals again. And I ended up winning my class of 40 plus. And then I got it in my overall, top 2. I think top 2 or 3 were overall, and I got my pro card there. So 3 shows, 1 national qualifier, 2 nationals, got my pro card.
Well, that leads me to this one thing that I see a lot of new competitors, the mistake that they make. You guys just heard that Jason started his journey in 1999. This is before most of our audience was even born.
94.
94.
After high school, yeah.
There you go. So you think about, and what I heard, this is my takeaway. You took 12th, you took 10th, you took 8th. You did a lot of shows, and you understood that you were going to be in front of 25, 30, 35 different competitors, and the judges were going to see you progress. You didn't need that immediate gratification or that instant gratification and all of a sudden quit the sport. You actually knew in order to be at the top level, you needed to run through a guy like Stan McQuay, who was probably considered one of the best aesthetically. I remember Stan. Yep. I remember Jose before he turned in, to just a complete monster. And these guys had great lines, great aesthetics. And I just am curious to know, when was this picture taken?
That was my pro show. It was actually my second pro show. That was 2018.
Okay.
No, 2019. And that show. That was my last pro show. I did 5 pro shows after I got my pro card.
I like that. What was really your mindset? Because I think a lot of new mindsets, especially with today's industry, is if I don't place, you know what, it was the judge's fault, or they weren't looking at me. And I'm seeing a lot of controversy around a lot of these, especially this time of the year when we have a lot of larger shows. People are going for pro cards, and we've got a lot of newer or younger athletes that just don't understand what it really takes to be a pro, but they want the pro title. What would you say to those younger athletes who are struggling with maybe a little bit of rejection and not getting their pro card first, second, or third time around?
Well, I think a lot of it is right now is with social media. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody thinks it's going to happen like right away. Everybody thinks it's like one show back and I'm going to get a pro card next show, because some people do it, but nobody wants to build up. Nobody wants to take the time to build, like right now, like you have competitors first show, they go straight to novice and they want to do an open show. Like, dude, like you couldn't even, you didn't, first of all, you didn't even win your novice show, but you want to do an open show. Like back then, like I said, we would start novice. I would never do an open show till I won my novice. And when I won my novice, even that, I was scared to go to open because open was open back then, you know what I mean? And so you need to build it up, get feedback from your judges, and stop being a seasonal athlete. I might get people butthurt right now, but I see a lot of seasonal athletes. What I mean by that is that after a show, they go back to their old ways. They might lift every once in a while, but they go to the non-eating bodybuilding style. They go to the drinking. They go, and then they're like, get that drive again after 3 or 4 months. Oh, I want to do a show again. I'm ready. I'm ready to go to nationals. I should qualify, and so they think they're ready to do nationals instead of like staying on a bodybuilding lifestyle. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. I literally dieted for 2 years. Strict. I didn't have a cheat meal until my coach told me to have a cheat meal. I didn't do refeed, so I had to refeed. I literally, from January 2015 till I got my pro card, I was on plan. Until my coach told me, okay, take a little break. I remember even nationals, after nationals, when I got third, I was so pumped and so happy. I was one spot shy, right? Because they're doing top 2 in nationals. And I was like, man, I want this, coach. I want this. He said, just chill. Just let's take a couple of days off. Like, no, like let's start Monday. Like, when I get back there, I'm gonna start. I was just so pumped. But I sacrifice a lot. I miss events with my kids. I miss, I sacrifice a lot. But that's what people don't realize. It's really, you got to put in the work if you really want to get to the top level.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that
even a couple years ago, they were qualifying. Oh, the top 5 is national qualified, and people, it got to their head. Well, I qualified, dude. You got third out of 4 people. It's like that's not national level. Like, go to a national show first, just to go see a national show, and you're gonna see the caliber out there. It's different. It's a different world, and I think they don't understand that. They might do a show here, they get first. It might be a decent show. Yeah, I'm not gonna take that for you. You did good here, but are you really ready? Did the judges tell you to go to nationals? That's another thing too. Is that the judge tells you you're ready, they know, okay, but they tell you work on this, do that, do this, do it. You still got a whole year qualification plus that year, like put in the work,
There's so much to unpack there. So I want to just, first of all, for those of you who just joined, we have Jason Martinez, Ifbb Pro. Yes, he got the chance to earn his pro card. He didn't win his pro card. He earned his pro card. And, ever since 1994, going through the ranks, doing multiple shows, going to national events, you think about a high school level of like baseball, football. You can't move from like high school level in very many cases all the way up to the pros in the NFL or the NBA or the MLB unless you're super gifted, genetics, and you're just kind of you have a meteoric rise. So I think a lot of people, what they don't understand is there's a huge gap between a local show, even a regional show, because if you're doing a show in Texas, the quality in Texas is going to be much different than it's going to be in Iowa or even Florida or even Oregon for that matter. And so a lot of competitors think, well, regionally, this is what I'm up against. That's what I'm going to go up against in nationals. Can you speak on that as far as what you see? What is really that jump from a local show to a national show? If you're not taking top 3, or you're not number 1 at your local show, what are you seeing right now? I mean, is there just a bunch of shell shock going on right now at nationals?
Well, I think again, if you can't win your class, and is it a deep class? It was an easy win. And again, I'm not trying to take it from your hard work. Your body did put work on it, but was it that deep of a class that you really did that good, and your caliber already ready for nationals? You know, because again, you're competing against nationals. That's top dogs from the whole United States. The North Americans, and when I did, they even invite Canadians and the Mexicans. That's why it's North Americans. That's where C Bump got his pro card. Well, I saw him backstage. Now I tell you this, I remember telling my wife at the time, I was like, that guy's gonna do something. That guy was just beautiful, and he wanted as a bodybuilder because again, that was barely classic coming around. But you got to understand that's 1% of the even in pro level. There's 1%. They're always going to be in the top, and they actually are pro athlete material. And that's all they do. Us like we get a pro card. We still got a life. We gotta financially support ourselves. We cannot just take everything and become a pro bodybuilder. So that's another thing too, is that the caliber is different from certain people. And genetics does play a part, and their hard work and all that does come. But if you never been to a national show, maybe go see one before you even decide, am I ready? Because now you're gonna spend a lot more money going to a national show to being third callouts, second callouts, maybe. I mean, are you ready? Ready? Like unless I think to me is like I always take my athletes to look the judges here in NPC, and I always tell them how are my athletes, are they ready or they're not ready. I had a couple athletes, one athlete that we went, she was ready for nationals. We went to nationals one time and we got third place, but she was ready. Now what happened a couple of years, she's turned pro. So but I didn't take her right away just because she qualified. I talked to my local judges, and the promoters is about my athletes and what do we need to improve to get them to that level, because I'm being real, like I know what it takes to be at the national level.
It's funny too, because you mentioned cost, and I know that as bodybuilders they put a lot more into it financially than somebody like a physique guy. And I'm not taking anything away from any competitor, because I was that little physique guy, right? I was like, ooh, okay, board shorts, and we don't really have to go through a lot of the things that bodybuilders have to go through, because you can't really grow in 3 to 4 months as a bodybuilder. In some cases, you take a year, 2 years, 3 years to grow, to reset, to get rid of the weaknesses and to build on the strengths to make it more balanced. So what are you really seeing kind of these days, post COVID, now that things have opened back up, 2021, you've been to a few shows, we've gotten the chance to talk about it. You've seen the level of bodybuilding and we see it dying. We see the number and we see the quality definitely different than we did 3 to 5 years ago. What do you really think it's going to take for maybe that bodybuilding portion, whether it be classic, whether it be open? How do we revive that part of the sport? I'm kind of curious as far as your take.
Well, I just think again, social media has changed a lot. I think that social media has influenced a lot of these young ones to think that, to get on stage that easy, and then people think classic bodybuilding, oh, it's easier. You're still bodybuilding. You're still building your physique. You just at a weight cap for your height, but you're still building your body up. And I think a lot of either coaches or even themselves or friends are not being true to you to tell you that you're ready for a stage. I've been at some shows in different organizations, not just one organization. And I'm not I'm not trying to be mean, but you're like, dude, like, what are you doing on stage? You're like, you understand this is the competitive stage. It's like, now I know some organizations have transformation. That's great. But on some levels, it's like, do you understand what you had to do? Do you understand the criteria? Or you don't understand the criteria, and I think just being on stage, and sometimes they go to a show, 3 competitors, they get second because that's a quality. You got to judge them, you got to judge the 3. So right away, they're like, look, see, I'm ready. I did good. I got second place. But then they go to another show and then they get hit with real and they don't place at all. I think.
Well, let's be clear too. They can't get second place with just 2 competitors and think that they did something. With 2 or 3 competitors, hey, I got second. Everybody sees it on social media. What they didn't see is who they were up there with.
Yeah, they don't tell you, well, I got second out of second. And I'm not trying to take that from you, but you got second. Is it last? Is it second? There's only 2 competitors. Now I guess when you go and compete and you there's a good strong lineup and you win, that class, I mean, that's good. Now you know that your physique is at a different level compared to what you were before, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that it's saturated. And again, like I was saying, a lot of people first show they want to do novice, they want to do true novice, they want to do open. It's like they want to do all the classes. Why? It's your first show. Like get your feet wet, get the criteria from the judges. Again, there's going to be like 1%, and they're hiding somewhere. That's what people don't realize. Some of these people are hiding for 2, 3, 4 years, and they're building their body, and they come in and they kill everybody, and they go to national, they kill everybody nationals. Those are the smart ones. Those are the ones that know their criteria. They know what they got to bring. And I think sometimes these shows, they have one person come in. Like I said, it wasn't a tough lineup. They win, but I'm going to do true novice, open, all these divisions. They're like, no, like take your time. Unless you're a gifted individual, which is the top 1% of the bodybuilders, then okay, But that's what I'm saying. I'm a realist. That's why even when I went to nationals, I was like, I told my wife at the time, I said, if I don't place, I'm done. I'm just giving myself 2 years. If I don't place, that's it. I'm done. Like I know where I don't belong there yet, Yeah. But when I got third, it gave me the drive, and then I knew when I saw pictures, I'm like, man, I can do this, So again, you got to be real to yourself too, and you have to have a coach that's going to be real with you. A lot of coaches, they're not coaches; they're salesmen, man. they sell you this BS, and they believe it, And then they go to a show and they don't play, so they don't do good or whatever, and they're like, oh, come on, what do you want to do,
Well, I think about attitudes. And for those of you just joining us, I know that, you can follow Jason. I know a lot of you have asked, hey, how do I email Jason? Jason at ufcrgv.com. That is the specific email. You'll see it on the ticker. Also, you can follow Jason at Jason Martinez. I already butchered
Coach
it.
JasonMartinez.com.
There
on
you
my
go.
website.
And Team Jacked on
Team
Instagram.
Jacked.
Cool. Now, you also run conversations. You run podcasts. I saw the one that you did with Homer. I saw the one that you did with Candace. What got you interested in doing? Because I'm going to I'm going to stick a pin in what I'm about to say. Because
I love bodybuilding. I love what it does. I've been passionate since day one. I mean, that's what I was winning. When I left it, I came back and I fell in love with it again. And what I'm trying to do is help people with the platform to tell their story. There's a lot of people out here that have some type of influence in the industry that nobody knows about sometimes, especially a lot of people that when I grew up with, that I looked up to, that are still big in impact of the fitness industry down here, and I want people to just tell their story, now that we have social media, now is a time to help, tell a story. And like I said, how did you become this? How did you do this? And who are you? What are you doing now? And it's just keeping that bodybuilding, alive, down here. I'm originally from here, so I'm starting in South Texas, but my goal is eventually, try to go all to Texas, that's why it's called Texas Bodybuilding News. I'm just trying to, a different platform for these athletes, not even that, people that are in the industry itself,
Yeah. Is somebody doing deadlifts in your gym right now?
Deadlifts?
Yeah.
No.
I just heard something that sounded like deadlifts. It was great, by the way, too. We didn't plan or coordinate the white shirts either. I don't know how we got that memo, but I think about Jason. Let's get. You've got much better because I don't have much of a pec anymore. But it's just pure white. I don't want to promote anything. I think about what you've done with Candace and Ifbb. I know she had Clash at the Border. You got a chance to talk about that show. Homer is a natural, a lifetime natural pro. He is someone who I completely admire, look up to, and respect, because I've gotten the chance to have conversations with him. He's definitely a deep man of faith and someone who I was like, man, he does not look his age. And so, as we look through in the 90s, in the early 2000s, we see the sport for what it was and where it's going. And we also see the cost involved. And, I think a lot of people tend to cut corners by saying, you said it rightly, coaches are salesmen. How do we find a good coach these days? If I'm looking as a new athlete, because we have a lot of people watching now, they're brand new, they're maybe in their first or second year of competing, and they're not really sure. What would you look for if you were brand new competing? What would you look for in a coach right now?
If I would get into the industry again, now that I know how there's coaches and gurus, one is look at the coach itself. Does he talk the talk? Has he been in the industry? Has he prepped himself? Has he done shows? Does he know what it takes? How can you prep somebody if you never even prepped yourself or gone through a prep? I've seen some coaches, they might just have that knowledge from a certification and they know their stuff. But if you never been through it, how can you relate to your client? Well, I've seen a lot of trainers on here, like, you're a trainer? It's like, really? Okay. Two is their track record, see what they've done with other athletes. Any coach, a really good coach, if I had a perfect athlete come in here, genetically great, was working with somebody else, or he already had the body, and I just tweak him, does that make me a big coach? Or do I get somebody that's nobody, never done a show, overweight, transform him, does great on shows? That's what you should see, the track record there, because it takes a real coach to transform it. That's why my coach, same thing. He didn't work with a lot of pro athletes because the pros were just at a different level. His main goal was, I'm gonna take this guy and commit with him, and I'm gonna bring him from here to a pro. And he has hundreds of pros for all the years he's been. And he, like I said, he took me from not being out of 7 years and got me to a pro card in 3 shows in 2 years. I mean, that's something, you know what I mean? And that's where you got to see these coaches. Like, what's their track record? Like, who have they transformed? Not just how they look at one show, because you see a lot of these athletes jump coaches, and then a coach gets them. Oh, let me just find tweaking, boom, and they do good with them. Dude, they're already.
They take all the credit.
Thank you. They're already at that level. It's like, what did you really do? Did you bring them from the bottom to where you're at? No. And then that's the track record. You got to see that, understand that, And 3, I think, talk to athletes from that coach, get feedback, and then 4, talk to the coach, talk to him, relate. Let's see if we can relate to him. What kind of theories he has, or what kind of style does he have? Because I'm a coach. I'm not here a babysitter.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Like, I think I turn off some Catholics because like they want that babysitting. It's like, dude, I gave you the plan. Do the plan. We check in. We make adjustments. I'm not your babysitter. I mean, and then some athletes need that. So if that's what you need, I'm not a right fit for you. If you want somebody calling you every day, did you eat this? Did you do this? Did you every day? Maybe there's coaches like that, and that's gonna help you. But if I'm not that way, it's gonna conflict on you, and it's gonna hurt you, because that's what you need. I didn't need that. I just told my coach gave me just my diet, my supplement regimen, and chicken. That's it. So I had to do the work. He didn't have me calling me every day, nothing. It was not to chickens. And then he knew if you were on plan. He knew, So it's that's, you got to see who you can relate to. Fourth, don't just get a coach because he's a promoter, or he's related to this person, or has some connection thinking that it's going to help you. I've seen that in several organizations too, and they get the pro card or whatever, and then what happens? They leave them. They just use that, I mean, it works every industry, but I've seen a lot of that too,
Well, I'm glad that you brought those 4 points up, because for those of you who have commented, or you even hearted, or like, I'm seeing all these things coming through on my end. So it's really cool to see you actually have struck a chord with a lot of us in a good way. And, I've had more coaches.
Because I might piss off some people, right?
No, I hope so. Because frankly, you know what? There are probably coaches that are watching. And, all of a sudden just because they competed in a show doesn't mean they're a good coach. Just because they're a good coach doesn't mean they should have competitors either. I think there's a fine line between general health and wellness, and when it comes to 4 to 8 to 12 to 16 week preps. You mentioned something I want to retouch back on.
You said it too right there. You said it right there. It's a difference between a weight loss and stage lean. And I tell my athletes it's a different thing. It's like, I'm not here to transform. We're trying to get stage lean. It's a different level of getting leanness,
Yep. No, I agree. And some of the comments are coming through. They might have questions for Jason. Feel free and put that in the comments if you have a question. I will try and bring as many questions as I can back to Jason. We might not have time to get all of them, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. So for those of you who are watching, feel free and type that in. I think about what you said earlier, and I think somebody who does a 4 or 8 week prep, to me, that didn't exist. And I was not a bodybuilder. I didn't understand that. And you know what? Now that I see folks on stage, and I'm seeing this not across the board, but I'm seeing it in certain pockets to where they're like, somebody should have told them that they probably needed another 4 to 6 weeks. And by the way, I'm no holds barred. This is not a to be mean thing. It's just that's the truth, because you look at the criteria and you look at what shows up. Go ahead. You're
where did the 12 weeks come to play? I don't remember. I don't know that. Like, I'm old school. I don't remember 12 weeks. to get ready for a show. What do you mean just 12 weeks? Are you even ready at 12 weeks out? What's your body fat? If you have, it's like a boxer, man. Like they have, there's two boxes that I've noticed because when I was a boxing coach. When you go into camp, is it a weight loss camp or are you going to camp to improve your skill to fight the boxer you're fighting? If you're going for both, you need a long time. That's what somebody's going to take, 6 months for a fight? Now, this guy is in good shape year round. He can get into this camp and focus on what skills he needs to do. That's where, as a bodybuilder, are you maintaining a good, off-season body fat? Are you maintaining good size? Are you regimens where if you're off 30% body fat, you're not even in a type of bodybuilding diet, and you want to do all that in 12 weeks? Come on. like it doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way.
That brings up the other point too. When you think about every competitor being a little different, some might need a 12 to 16 week prep, some might need a 20 to 30. So how long does it take? And this is on average generally. How long does it take to learn a competitor's body? Like I remember, and I'll give you the time to kind of respond to that. My first coach didn't really understand my body probably for the first year. He was trying to figure it out. He's like, okay, I feed you this. Let me see your check-in pictures. Did you actually follow what I told you to do? Oh, about 75%. So it's frustrating to the coach to say, well, you didn't follow what I taught you to do. How am I supposed to work with you? So I had to take responsibility as a competitor to say, I need to actually do what they say. Otherwise, I'm wasting my money and his or her time. So how long, in your opinion, have you found that your competitors, you've really gotten the chance to have a good relationship to find out how their body responds? And as soon as you figure it out, it might change in 2 years because they're getting older. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it does change. I mean, every prep is different sometimes. But the ideal client or athlete is the one that follows your plan. And then you know what to make adjustments from. Now, if you have an athlete that's not doing the plan, not going hard on their cardio, whatever, and they're telling you they are, and then you're over here as a coach, like, okay, we've done this, we've done that, like, how come the body's not changing? Well, you didn't tell me you're doing protein donuts, you didn't tell me you're doing cardio session, you didn't tell me, you're doing this, but you're telling me you didn't. So then I make it a change, it's not going to benefit you. And I tell my clients, just be straight, be honest, because why make a change if you didn't even follow that plan? There's a basis as all coaches follow. Like, everybody's like, oh, I have the secret. No, it's just there's a base that every coach follows. Now how the body reacts, that makes a real coach, because when the body reacts, then the coach knows what type of adjustments to make. It's not just a cookie cutter, but it kind of seems like that because there's so much you can change. You can add food, take food out, add cardio, take out cardio. Like, there's not a big change, but if the athlete is 100% real with you and doing what they're supposed to be doing, you will see the changes, and then you start learning where they're at. I've had athletes that they had a coach before and they were just no carbs, no this, and we go carbs, and like, boom, their body starts changing. I have athletes that we've done that before, and now their body is just not responding. So you got to go low. So you learn that, but you have to follow the plan. And I think that's why with me and my coach, I follow the plan to keep, so that we just worked. I never bullshit. Oh, sorry, I never BS anything.
You caught yourself. Good catch.
I literally follow the plan. So that's why. And now one thing, like this whole cheat meals and refeeds and all this, like, you need to get that out of your head too. Like, if you're going to prep, just go. I'm going to prep. Now, if your body is responding. Like me, I was like my after my first show, my body was going, so we were having cheat meals and refeeds and stuff because my metabolism was just ramped up, But if you're going to prep, oh man, I'm coaching. When's am I gonna have a cheat meal? When am I gonna have a refeed? Or you're not mentally ready for a prep. You should just go and say, I'm gonna go and do what I got to do. That's it. Eat what I got to eat. That's it. Do what I got to do. That's it. And when you have that mindset, I guarantee you 100% that you will change your physique to a different level. And I guess I'm telling you, that's why you get that 1% up there that do that, because that's what they do. And it's a lifestyle. It's not like, again, like I told you, they're seasonal bodybuilders. They come and go and they go off plan, and then they're trying to get back into it, and then trying to get back into the rhythm of things. It doesn't work that way.
I find that some coaches try and make major adjustments, if they're not ready, they're not ready. And I think social media is helpful in this respect. I have seen coaches, very high level coaches, very prominent coaches say, look, you are not ready. Don't do the show. And, I found that to be very truthful. And it's also heartbreaking because, we invest our time and our money in there, but we need more of those coaches as opposed to, let's crash you into this. And, let's try and make this massive adjustment. All of a sudden, they're holding water. They're falling flat. You're making every excuse in the book on why they didn't win. Attitudinally, I've just seen competitors change. And I'm hoping that we're able to get back to having good quality coaches and maybe some of those newer coaches who need to learn more. I've always been a student of this sport, and I knew I wasn't going to win. I was going to be my best. And if that happened to be first place at the end, great. If it happened to be last place, a lot of people ask me, what'd you do on your first show? Well, in 2014, I took last place. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if there was 4 or 14 people there, but I knew I had to improve, and most people would have given up and quit. So what would you say to somebody who's maybe a new coach? How do they become students of coaches who have been around, been there, done that, and really find a way to put the trust in the hands of the competitors they have? Do you go seek outside counseling if you're a new coach and don't really know how to bring somebody in? What is your take on that?
One, if you can't do it yourself, like if you can't prep yourself, you can't change your body, you can't, have you done it by yourself? Have you done some type of transformation yourself? Are you maintaining something on you? Are you doing the talk as a talk? Like, can you walk the walk, talk the talk type of thing? Yes. Now, if you got one client and you did one change and everybody's, oh, wow, they right away, they think they're not, they think they're ready for coaching, and then take it that too. Like you got to be in this. I mean, to me, it's like you can have all these certifications. It don't mean anything. You have the experience. Have you been? How many athletes have you really transformed? How many athletes have you really focused on? And another thing too is it's tough when you have athletes that just jump around too. One, they didn't follow the plan, and then they want to blame the coach, and then they go to another coach, and then they know, I didn't get my result I wanted. I'm going to go to another coach, and I'm going to go. So then that hurts the coach too, because you didn't even follow the plan. But they don't want to tell everybody that. They don't want to tell that they didn't do the plan right, but they want to blame the coach. Yep. So it has to work both ways. You have to have an athlete that wants to be coachable, for one. You hire a coach for a reason. Follow the plan, seek it out, trust the process, and see where you're going. Two, I think that a lot of athletes don't do that too. A lot of athletes, their mentality is, I'm going to get first, which is good. You got to be competitive. I understand that. But if you improve from your previous show to this show, the places might not show it, but when you look at your pictures and you see an improvement, you have more back definition, you have more quad definition, you have a better core, you have better poses, whatever, you improve. Like that's the name of the game. As long as you're improving every show with your coach also, that's a plus. Sometimes you don't know who shows up. Okay? It's a subjective sport. You got judges being subjective sometimes. But if you improve your previous package, what else could you have done? It's not the coach's fault. It's not your fault. It's not show. It's like, okay, let me just keep improving. And I think what happens is they blame the coach, or they blame the show, or they blame the organization, and then they go to a different organization. They go to a different coach. They're trying to find something that's gonna baby them into that position. I guess, I don't know. Yeah. And I think you have to be real. And I think like a lot of coaches are now, it's because of this. Yeah. They're jumping into the game because it's money. And they're like, I'll coach you. Or sometimes like somebody wins. Hey, come to me. I'll coach you for free. Mm-hmm. It happened to me in a certain organization. Mm-hmm. I had an athlete that turned pro. And then she went to somebody else because they told her they'll train you for free. Be part of our team. Like, dude, I got you from this to your pro card in 2 shows. And then you think you want to prep yourself, which you didn't do too good. Now let me go with a coach that's part of that organization because maybe that might help me place, you know what I mean? And that's the mentality some of these athletes have, And
I'm so glad you said that, by the way, too. Mark, who just joined us with Mr. America, he runs the Mr. America show, which is, he's been doing this for 20, 30 years, Jason. And I think about what we've seen, right? And I think there's a new generation. I think there's the old school mentality and generation that I think there's a big gap that, I think needs to be bridged. And I kind of see that world colliding a little bit. Because now the ones that are keeping it real, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's make this sport better because we're seeing a lot of washout. We're seeing athletes who might not necessarily be the healthiest or the best. They might look great, but they're not healthy, or they're not sustainably doing this long term. They're trying to do things in a short amount of time, and it's costing them, not only financially, but we don't want people to be unhealthy. We want people to do this thing right.
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a cloud, man. Everybody's doing it for the cloud. Everybody's doing it for social media. Again, I'm old school. When we had that, when I prepped for a show, when I was going to go to Phil Heath, I didn't know who was doing that show. That was not my concern. My concern was me in the mirror, me. Like, I got to do my part and just bring the best package I can. Now that you have social media, you have people like, oh, they're doing the show. Oh, they look better than me. Oh, this person doing all this, and they start getting in the cloud, and they start, having this different mentality, and it's just a different generation, and it's hard for me to try to adjust to that, because, like I said, I'm old school. I'm just I was the one that just put my face down. I didn't even hear head. I just put my face down, did my work. I went to the gym, did my work, and then when I went to my show, I did my work. And it speaks for itself. Like, I didn't, to get it for likes now. Like, they're doing it for likes and doing all this. And then you see them, the filters, man. What happened with filters? What happened with editing pics? You remember Shreds got teared up with that? Davion, what was his name? Davion? Because they were editing pics, and the whole organization, that company, went down because of the filtering. Everybody does it now. And that's why I tell some athletes, don't look at social media. Those people are not looking like that. I guarantee you see them on stage, and the person, you're like, dude, like, what happened to you? Like, you look like great 2 weeks ago. It's just, the industry has changed a lot to that aspect too. Yeah. Now it's okay to edit your picture. Now it's okay to use filters to trick other people how you really look, but you don't look that way.
Look, you hit this right on the head. I think you and I both have that acquaintance on.
Dude, I'm gonna lose clients, I bet you, man, for this stuff.
Okay, so when he's calling people out, I was watching some of his videos, and I'm not going to name names, John, but I got to tell you do a really good job finding edited photos, and people sucking in their waist, and all of a sudden these lines start bending. I don't even know how to do that. I'm kind of curious how, but you see it in almost everything for the influence, and they're actually destroying not only their brand, but they're destroying their reputation. And you're right, when you see these, and I got to ask you an honest question here. I know there's a question here, I promise. Do you have competitors when they're looking and they're in comp, they start looking at Instagram, they start looking at Facebook, and they're like, I got to go up against that. They're doing the same show, and I'm not in the same class. And then when you see them on stage, you're like, that's not what they look like on social media. They have completely either A, have not done their prep, or B, they know how to edit their pictures well. What kind of mind game is that? I mean, do you have competitors like that?
Oh yeah, and that happened to me at my first pro show. When I was doing regular shows, national shows, I literally would go backstage, put my head down, put my headphones, and just chill till they told us, get it ready, power up, pump up, let's go on stage. I never looked at nobody. I think what screwed me up was the first time going to a pro show where I'm standing next to, like, oh, I know that pro, I follow that pro, like, oh man, I'm here, like, do I belong here? So I think my first pro show, I screwed my head myself, and I learned that lesson. And I remember telling my athletes, every time we go to a show, don't look at them. Just let's go there, sit down on a spot, focus on you. Because I guarantee you, I've been to certain shows, and I'm like, man, that guy looks good. I seen him on social media, and I beat him. I'm like, how did I beat him? But it's just on stage, it's a different look. Posing, can you pose right too? That some of these guys don't know how to pose. And I noticed that. So I tell my athletes to, like, don't focus on social media. If you need to, don't look at it, because it will mess up your mind. Because then you start thinking, like, man, I don't look good enough. It's hard for you to see yourself too. So you have to have a genuine coach or genuine people to be honest with you. And I think that's another thing too, is family and friends are not those people you want. They're going to tell you, you're number one. You look great.
You should have beat everybody.
Yeah. And it's like, no, like, you weren't ready, or that guy just had a better package, or this girl just had a better glutes, And if you want to be real with you and you say, man, okay, I'm going to work harder. I got to improve what I got to improve, and that's it, But it does. Social media gets to people's heads,
I want to also put a disclaimer out here, because for those who have friends and family who keep telling you should have won, ask your family if they know the criteria and if they're a judge. Because if they don't know the criteria and they're not a judge, they might see it through a different lens when they see you and somebody else, and they'll find your best and you'll find their worst. And you can't really look at it from stage shots. So let's just be fair. Now, I want to get into kind of the balance. And I know there's never a balance in bodybuilding, but I believe that there are certain things and criteria that you can control. I want to talk about posing specifically because I know a great, well-rounded athlete knows how to show off their physique in a way that is appealing to judges. For example, angles. It's all about the angles. If you got a blocky waist, you've got to find a way to hide it. If you've got huge delts and a small chest, you got to find a way to, make it look balanced. And sometimes you just genetically get caught with a thick waist and, narrow clavicles. So how would you suggest, and how often would you suggest for someone to pose? When would they start posing? How often? How long?
Or right now, like you have an advantage. You got really good posing coaches. Find a really good posing coach. That again, see the track record. Back then, we didn't have that. We just knew the mandatories and we tried to do the best we could and we do it ourselves. Like, so you have posing coaches now that are really, really good. Practice with them, hire them, invest a little bit on that. You should be practicing posing since you started prep. Don't wait till the last 4 weeks to do it. And those are the ones that you see on stage, shaking, breathing, stomach going this way and that because they're out of shape and posing, not in shape, but they're just not used to posing that long and that hard. And then you see those guys just real graceful, just holding the poses, real graceful, good smile, stomach tight, those practice. So you have to practice them. 3, like you said, angles for your body. What poses look good for you? Same thing with females. Like there's some poses that it's not gonna look good for you in that pose. Try it this way. Try this angle. Try this, and that's when you start learning your body. It's a package thing, and I think you got to do it all. It's not just I look good. I'm ready. Let's go. Because I've seen on certain shows too. You're like, man, if that guy would just hold his poses right, or man, if he would have just done this, or even the girl, like man, like she's so stunning. You just keeping your eyes, and then she goes and she poses, and you're like, oh, like it's you ruined it yourself. Practice the girls practice heels walking. Like I see some girls that don't. I guess they don't practice with those type of heels, and then start getting on stage, and you can tell they never practice with the heels. Like it's not. You have to put everything to work. Everything. It's a package thing.
After you've been to enough shows, I think you and I were sitting next to each other on a show, and I think that very exact thing happened. When she came out, it's like, yep, she's good. And then when she started posing, we kind of looked at each other, and then we kind of looked back, and it's like, what happened? Don't go 90%, go 100% on everything. Nail your posing. You could actually be in third place, but when you start posing, you could actually start moving up. Same way as when you walk out, if you're not in heels and you're shaking, doesn't matter how great your physique is, they know you probably haven't been there and done that. And I think that is a direct reflection on really how seriously that people take this sport, because there are people who invest thousands of dollars. There are people who invest hours, hundreds of hours in the gym. You've got to get that part 3. And when I think about this one saying, and I want you to touch on this, Jason, as we kind of wrap it up, I heard something that stuck with me a very long time ago. And they said, any amateur can make anything look difficult, but any pro can make anybody or anything look easy, even when it's not. And so I think about this industry that we're in. Even though we're judged in just the split second, you're either going to catch the attention of a judge or you're not. And you know what? They are going to look at you. And first impressions, you don't get that second impression. So what do you teach your clients? What do you teach your athletes? How do you differentiate them from everybody else?
We practice, and we start doing check-ins in person. We start going through the routine, and we go through the poses. And I'm not one of the greatest posing coaches, but I know what looks decent for my athletes, so I try to tweak it. And if I can, we'll get with a posing coach, or we'll go to a clinic, and then we'll see what they think, and we make some adjustments. But I've been to so many shows, and I get at least 90% of the lineup right, and just knowing what the criteria is and what the judge is going to look for, you want your athlete to show that, Same thing with the guys. If you can't do a certain pose, then don't do that pose, Like the classic guys, they try to do certain poses because it's classic looking or it's this, but it looks bad on you. Like it doesn't look right. Pick a pose that's gonna like accentuate your physique better. Some girls overly do the walk, and some girls it just flows, And like you said, you only got 15 seconds to catch the judge's eye, and all that work you put into it, you could mess it up that right there, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you get on the lineup, like you said, you could be in the far out, and the person here that's winning is posing bad, but you're just out posing them. You might not be as tip top shape, but you're out posing them. There you go. They start moving you in. You know that can do it. I've seen that in shows too. It's like you like, man, you just hold that pose, and then the guy's not holding the pose, and they move him out. And there you go. You lost it. You lost it. Nobody else. You know, it's yes, you have that support system. You got your coach, but on stage, that's you. You know, like I said to my clients, are you practicing it? Are you doing it? Because when we go on stage, I mean, that's it. It's on you. I'm not there on stage to correct you and move you. You got to make sure you know what you're doing on stage too. You got to be ready for that. Put your work into it too.
Everything that you just said. Don't do a back twisting double buy-in classic if it's not your strong pose. Happened to be Arnold's, but just because Arnold did it doesn't mean you can do it and actually pull it off. So, and some people don't have that dexterity or flexibility either. You know,
that's hard. That flexibility on those.
Yeah,
parts.
it is. Yeah, it is. So, you know, I just want to, first of all, thank you, because a lot of these conversations are stimulating not only to me, but there's a lot of people who tune in who are thinking about getting on stage. Maybe they have once or twice. We also have pros, and even pros learn something. And that's the whole goal, is to appeal to every end of the spectrum, to where when we can have a real conversation, we're not looking to actually put something or someone down. We're actually looking to keep it real. There's a big difference. So how can people follow you? How can they contact you if they have questions, or if they're down in the valley? Do you do online coaching or strictly in person?
Yeah, I do online coaching. I do right now I'm doing maybe like 70 transformation, 30 athletes, but I do both, you know. I do anybody who wants to make a lifestyle change. If anybody wants to get on stage, I'm gonna get them on stage, you know, as long as they're ready to do it in their part. For I have my website, coachjasonmartinez.com. From IG, it's Jace Marts _ IBB Pro. And then my email, Jason at ufcrgb.com. You want to email me, you know, some questions. I'm open. Every time I get a client, I'm willing to sit down with them, talk to them. We can do FaceTime or through text, you know, and they can answer all the questions they want, you know, because I want to make them feel comfortable. I tell my clients, is like, you're making an investment. I'm not just here to take your money, you know. But if you truly want to make a lifestyle change, or you truly really want to focus on doing good as a competitor, you know, I'm going to get you there. But you have to do your part, you know. And I like to work with athletes. I like to work with. I tell my clients, like, it's not going to happen overnight, you know. And somebody that's never done a show too. Sometimes I tell, well, hey, let's do a pre-prep. Let's see where your physique's really at. You know, do you have enough muscle under there? Do you have enough, you know, shape under there? After that, maybe we need to do an off season. Like, you cannot, you know, this stepping on stage right away. It's, again, unless you're a gifted athlete, you know, you already have the good structure. You've been building up for a while. You could, but if you haven't, it takes time. You know, and I'm not saying. I mean, a lot of people want to just do it a bucket list. That's a different thing too. Like, they just want to do one show. Hey, I did a bucket list. I'm done. That's, you know, okay. But if you really want to be competitive and you're really trying to go to the next level, be patient, put in the work, and then follow what if you have your coach, trust the process and follow it. You know.
Great advice from one of the best. And I have to tell you, I really appreciate every time I see you in person. And I can't wait to see you again. I know you're going to have some athletes kind of floating around throughout the year at different shows. And hopefully we get the chance to have another real live conversation, as I always appreciate that. So, you know, Jason, as we wrap up, you know, I just want to thank you. I know that what's great about is we always have kind of the same alignment when it comes to hopefully the future of the sport and how we can give back. You're definitely a big contributor to that, and want to see you succeed at the highest level. So thank you, and can't wait to have you on again if you're willing to
I
come
appreciate
back.
you. Happy to have you on your podcast, and, you know, hopefully we can touch bases again and see where things go. You know.
Yes, sir. And as we put a bow on episode 58 with Jason Martinez, I have to say that it's fun to be able to do these off the cuff spontaneously. There is a lot of meat as far as what we talked about in the middle, and we really got into it. And I think some of those are just super valuable gems that if you start sprinkling through, you'll notice that it doesn't matter if you're at the beginning or getting close to the end of your journey or your career when it comes to health, wellness, fitness, and bodybuilding, or even for that matter, being on stage or off stage. Find a way to get around people like Jason. And for those of you who want to contact him, obviously his email is right there, as well as his IG and also website. So episode 59, we're very much looking forward to. I can't wait. Join us again, 5:30 p.m. Central, same time, same place. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube on the Friday Fitcast. That way, if you're on IG, you don't have to go to a Facebook account. You can go directly to YouTube to see the replay, and the replay will be up here in about 15 minutes. But Jason, thank you so much. You guys have a great weekend. We will talk next week, 5:30, same time, same place.